Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today we're at Holmes Honda here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we're going to try to answer the question, is the 2023 Honda Accord better than ever? Obviously fully redesigned. This is the touring trim level. If you go with EX or LX, you're going to get the non-hybrid 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. It will be making 192 horsepower, 192 pounds-feet of torque. But if you go with EXL, Sport L, or Touring, Touring is what we have here today, you will have the hybrid combination. The two-motor electric hybrid system is supposed to be more efficient than ever before and give a sportier driving experience. 204 horsepower, 247 pounds-feet of torque made it to an eCVT compared to the CVT for the LX and the EX. And how about the MPGs? Let's take a look at what we have here. 46 highway, 46 city, 41 highway, and 2.3 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. Now you might have noticed that those MPGs seem to be reversed from what you normally see. That's because you have the hybrid powertrain here. The combination between that dual motor electric hybrid system I mentioned and the 2-liter gas burning engine. So when the hybrid system is down to a certain point in its charge capacity, the gas motor kicks in. That will recharge everything and continue to allow your Accord to drive down the road. So that's a good thing. That way, you don't really have to worry about the problems that you would go with or deal with a traditional EV, a full EV, because obviously charge capacity is all you have to go on. We will have the body-colored side view mirrors. They're heated. They're power adjustable, but they are manually folding. I've had people actually ask me in comments before how to manually fold your side view mirrors. Yes, that actually has happened. No, nobody should have to ask about that. Turn signal indicators are built in, as you can see right there. And for those who may want to know what the remote looks like, there you go. Two of the most common questions I receive if I forget to say anything in the video. Number one, does it have turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors? Yes, it does, obviously. And also ask about remote start, which you can see is right there. And the changes, well, should be pretty obvious as far as what we have here with the overall look. A lot of people have said that this Accord looks a lot like the now discontinued Ford Taurus. Don't know that I quite see it, but if you do, tell me exactly where you see it and where you see it the most. I'm always curious to know about that. Things a little more squared off here, but when you compare it to the Taurus, definitely not as squared off as the last generation of the Taurus, but the front end is more squared off here than what we had with the 10th generation. Holmes Honda did add a few things, including window tint here, so if this looks a little darker to you than you would expect, that's why. So we have a different setup there where all of that is concerned. And one thing that hasn't changed with this generation of the Accord from the previous is the cargo capacity. Still 16.7 cubic feet. Being the hybrid trim level, it's not going to come with a spare tire. And I know a lot of people don't like that. Can't say I blame you for that. You're still going to pull on that release to maximize your cargo capacity back here in the rear seating area. I'm only going to do one side because, well, both work the same way. So you'll just lower things down just like that. Still going to have the child safety locks here on the rear doors. Depending on your situation, make sure that they are appropriately set. When they're in this up position like this, they are not active. If you want them to be active, put them in the down position like that. I'm going to go ahead and change that. Soft touch materials here, pretty soft, a fairly comfortable armrest. Not the biggest armrest I've ever seen, but you know what? I probably would never find myself sitting in the back seat of an Accord. And the door bin right here will fit a good sized bottle and or some snacks, maybe a little bit of a combination of both. And we'll go ahead and hop on inside here. Take a look at what we have. The lone rear seat pocket right here. We do have dual USB connectivity and air conditioning vents here in the rear seating area. That's always a good thing. And then if anyone gets thirsty back here, well, there are two drink holders to hold the drinks. Very comfortable armrest, the fold-down armrest right there. And one more thing I do want to look at here and get your feedback on. You do have the conventional size sunroof. Were you hoping for a panoramic sunroof with this 11th generation of the Accord? And looking in through the passenger side door, going to see a little bit larger armrest right here, pretty much the same setup, just as soft, very comfortable. A larger door bin. You can see that the overall design of the door has changed here compared to what we saw with the 10th generation. Going to have the comfortable power seats for the driver and the passenger here. And you can see the differences, the changes as far as the overall look of the dashboard goes. Somewhat similar to that of the 11th generation of the Civic, but most certainly not identical. A little bit of contrast stitching right here. And we'll take a look into the glove box area just to show you there is a good bit of space in there. We're going to have our dual zone climate control and something I'm really happy about. Not only heated seats, but guess what? Ventilated as well. That is good news. I'll actually probably use that today. It's warm enough to need to. 2 more USB options right here for connectivity, wireless charging, and good news for those of you who don't like the push button shifters. You have the traditional style shifter. It is not push button right here. So if you like that, that's a good thing. We've got our mode selector right here. If you want to drive in full EV mode, if everything is where it needs to be, you can do that. And usually it's just going to go into that on its own, so not a big deal. You don't have to worry about that. Your power parking brake, brake hold mode, more cup holders. And honestly, I have to say, the positioning of the center console, this lid that doubles as an armrest, for me personally, it's not too bad, at least where the seat is set right now. So it's in the right place, the right height, and we have a good bit of space down in here with the center console. But we're just getting started. The most important part, and most likely what you yourself want to know the most about, is found right over here. Let's see what the driver's going to find. And I probably don't have to tell you too much about what's here on the driver's side door. They're telling me not to roll the windows down because they've been freshly tinted. But you know what's there. All the controls for all 4 windows. You can control those heated power adjustable side view mirrors right there. And you have 2 settings for seat memory for the driver. It would be nice to see that for the passenger side too, but probably a little more important here on the driver's side. Right here you have the lever that you drop to control the positioning of the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. And we'll hop inside. We're going to make sure we start everything up here. And that way I can show you what we have on the instrument cluster. Something that's interesting there, when the headlights are on, well, you know, because you see the illumination in front of that likeness of your Accord, basically, that's right there. And you can see what all you have as far as your different features and functionality. You can go through quite a bit of information here. I'm not going to go through everything in great detail, but just kind of show you what's here as far as your different features and functionality go, different information you can learn or use about your vehicle, depending on what you want to know. And by the way, for those of you who have never owned a vehicle that had those turn signals I was talking about earlier, here's how you actually use that. You not only control the functionality for your lighting on the exterior of the vehicle, headlights and taillights, but you can also use that to let people around you know what you're doing. You just push it into those 2 positions depending on if you're turning right or left or changing lanes to the right or to the left. Yes, I'm sarcastic about that. It's funny. Laugh. I can't say anything sarcastic about the control right here for the windshield wipers. And you see the paddle shifters, or what appear to be paddle shifters right here. That's actually for controlling regenerative braking. And if you're wondering, what exactly is that? You can increase or decrease that with these paddles on the steering wheel. That's basically using kinetic energy to replenish the electric portion of the powertrain for this vehicle. So when you're coming to a stop, well, it determines how aggressively that works. So in case you're curious. And by the way, you see the HUD HUD right here. That doesn't mean we're about to buy a HUD home. It means it has a head-up display. And hopefully you can see that well on the screen. Nothing new for the Accord, but it is here. One thing that is new for the Accord, the largest ever infotainment or touch screen in the history of Honda, 12.3 inches right here. That's what we have, and quite a bit going on there as well as far as different features and functionality. I like the fact that everything looks very nice, very modern. In fact, let's see if we can let you hear. I don't know how well you can hear it. You can hear the click right there. Google Maps right here, you can see that, a very nice look, and you can zoom in if you want to on that. You don't have to use your fingers to do this, but you can do that if you want to right there, depending on your situation and your habits. Well, I guess that'll determine what you do. And let's go into reverse and take a look at the multi-view rear view camera. That's not really anything new, but it is nice and clear, and does seem to be a little more responsive than it was with the previous generation. You're going to have parking sensors and all that good stuff all around the vehicle. You can pair your phone, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto compatibility. It's all here, and it's all very simple to use. And I did promise you that we were going to go through the driving modes, didn't I? So let's do that. So let's see what we have here. And I clicked up, went into sport mode. You can see that you have normal. Obviously, you're going to have Econ, and you're going to have, well, let's see, there's Econ and there's normal. So depending on the situation and what you want to drive in, well, there you go. And the good thing is you have some very nice graphics here. We'll go through that. Let's start with Econ mode. As far as the graphics on that 12.3-inch screen, there's normal and sport mode. That looks really good. So depending on your situation and what you want to do, well, you can drive in whichever mode you want to. I'll tell you what, I am very impressed in what Honda has done here as far as how everything looks. The graphics, in my personal opinion, greatly improved here. The good thing is, while everything is improved here, it's also very simple to use. You still have your knob, because I know a lot of you like that, for controlling the volume of the radio and turning that on and off. By the way, I talked about Google integration here. Voice commands. It's a big thing here because that's how you're going to use Google. So let's just do this. Hey Google, how far can I drive?
You can drive for about 155 miles with the remaining gas.
And I apologize to anybody if I set off everything in your house. I'm only going to demonstrate that one time. Okay, we're going to get out on the road for the test drive, and I apologize that the view is not better than it is. With the window sticker being where it is, yes, it's legal for that to be there, for me to still drive the vehicle. It's not in my line of sight. I can see just fine, so before anybody says anything in the comment section, no big deal. It's actually better to have it there than it would be to be on the passenger side mirror over here. So let's see if we can do this without having anyone pull out in front of us. We can. So on the test drive here, something to think about. It's real quiet in here. The fan speed's down, not a lot of noise. So it's going to sound like there's more road noise than you might hear otherwise. But I'm going to let you listen for a few seconds just so you can see for yourself. And keep a couple of things in mind where that is concerned. This road is extremely rough. It may not look like it, but it is. I'm in the right-hand lane, which is going to have more traffic than it would otherwise. So that's going to be a more rough lane to ride in, to drive in. And the fan speed's down, the radio's not on, I don't have anyone to talk to, all that kind of stuff. It's going to seem a little bit more noisy in here than it would otherwise. But a very fun car to drive, that's for sure. There's cars close enough. They're behind me a little bit, but I don't want to slow down too much. But we'll do a little bit of an acceleration test in just a minute. But I am going to go into sport mode here and just see. You can tell a little bit of a difference when I changed into sport mode. And when I say that, what am I feeling? What's the difference? Well, I can tell that the transmission is moving a little bit more freely. And so the RPM of the engine is moving up a little faster than it would otherwise. That's what happens when you change driving modes in a vehicle like this. And so the acceleration here is definitely good enough. It's going to get the job done. This isn't really meant to be a high-performance vehicle, but when you need to get down the road and get up to highway speeds, you're not going to have any trouble. The ride quality itself, at least in my personal opinion, is not bad. Everybody is going to have varying opinions on that, and a lot of that, especially when it comes to these videos on YouTube, it's really going to be dependent on what we're used to driving. So for me, it's not a problem. Let's do a little acceleration test and just see how we do. Yeah, not bad. not too bad. I'm not going to go too far over the speed limit in getting down the road, but you know, it's not neck-snapping performance or anything along those lines, but it definitely is going to get you where you need to go without a problem. And the thing I like here with this new generation, with the newly updated screen, this larger than ever 12.3-inch screen that Honda has in this particular model, while it looks different, it's still just as simple to learn and use as it was in the past. For those of you who are still driving older vehicles that don't even have an infotainment screen and don't have rear view cameras and all that kind of stuff, Honda's a great place to go for people who are maybe saying, man, I am terrified of that new technology. I don't want to have to deal with learning all of that. This is easy, especially with Google. I'm not going to say too much in that respect because I don't want to set everything off in your house. I know occasionally that does happen, and I apologize if it did earlier in the video for some of you. But it's easy here because it's all voice commands. And so for those of you with type A personalities, guess what? Let's make sure we don't run over any birds here. Okay, looks like they're smart enough to stay out of the road. For those of you with strong personalities and type A personalities who are used to telling everybody what to do in your life, well, guess what? You're going to love this because you can tell Google what to do all the time. But a very nice vehicle, fun to drive. It does have good handling. A low center of gravity always comes out to the same thing. Good handling characteristics. So if you're having a bad day and you do want to drive spiritedly, well, this Accord Touring, 23 Accord Touring, is definitely going to give you that opportunity. You can have a good time and maybe get rid of some stress without going too crazy. Don't go overboard now, but ultimately I have to say I enjoy driving this car. So tell me what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Is the 2023 Honda Accord better than ever? If your answer is yes, tell me why you answered the way that you did. If you said no, tell me why you answered the way that you did. I'm always curious to see what your feedback is. And Honda's reading these too. This is how they get their information from consumers. So if you don't like what you see here, tell Honda all about it. If you do, tell them all about it. And if you happen to want to come in here to Holmes Honda and buy this exact Accord or any other vehicle they have in inventory, check out the link down in the description of the video. Tell whoever you talk to that Tom from Vehicle Visionary sent you. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at the dealership for loaning me this 23 Accord Touring for the day. And a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed today's video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.